this out. I love IGN, and I love Final Fantasy VII. That rhyme, I like to play, hit the game. Bars! So I gotta check this out, alright? Of course, I'm gonna have my own damn review as soon as the game comes. Well, as soon as I finish the first part. Yeah, that's how I like doing reviews, when I'm done. I don't like playing an hour of it and then trying to, but these motherfuckers, I'm saying, and other top gamers, they get Johns to review for days. Finish it, do reviews. I ain't at that level yet, but one day I shall be. Until then, let's get it.
There are tons of remakes being made these days, but what does that word really mean? Well, lots of things. While the recent Resident Evil remakes have been mostly faithful modernizations of the original, Final Fantasy VII Remake is more like a complete reinvention. It boldly swaps the traditional turn-based combat of the 1997 original with exciting real-time action, and expands the first act of the classic story into a full game by adding dozens of hours of character development and world building. And also a bit too much filler. It may not be a perfect reunion, but with or without nostalgia in play, this is still a great JRPG in its own right.
Alright.
Final Fantasy VII Remake zooms in on the first hours of the original game, which takes place in the city of Midgar. Here, Cloud Strife and his freedom-fighting allies battle the evil Shinra Corporation that run it, and that conflict has been stretched into a campaign that took me more than 33 hours to complete. It has spectacular style, both in and out of its epic cutscenes, and in its truly phenomenal soundtrack. As a big fan of the original's turn-based battles, I was thrilled to find that Remake's revamped combat still proved to be endlessly engaging. Flashy basic attacks charge up things called ATB bars, which then let you use your team's unique weapon abilities, equipable spells, and items from the comfort of a slow-motion menu. It's extremely different, but there's still a tension to every choice that truly reminded me of the original's frantic decision-making moments. And you can't just mash square. Part of that is because filling up an enemy's stagger gauge will make them take extra damage for a time. We've seen that in games before, but the clever twist here is that every enemy staggers in a different way. Learning those differences kept combat fresh the whole way through. That variety is a big part of why its epic multi-phase boss fights are so incredible too. These powerful enemies push you to learn tricky patterns, and the way they seamlessly blend in cinematics always put a smile on my face. Massive amount of flexibility in your party management thanks to role-defining materia orbs and upgradable weapons. Materia can be slotted into any character's equipment to give them spells and buffs.
Right.
That's important since your active team of 3 is entirely determined by where you are in the story. I just wish I didn't have to keep reslotting my best materia every time my party shifted.
Thanks anyway.
Weapon upgrading also had me digging through menus too much, but it's such a cool new system that I didn't mind. New weapons are rare, but they upgrade as you level to keep them relevant. I found myself frequently switching weapons as my materia builds and party changed, but even Cloud's signature starting weapon, the Buster Sword, remained a solid option. Rather poetically, it ended up being my favorite weapon by the end.
Make sure you never forget my face!
The visual variety of Midgar's levels is fairly impressive, ranging from dirty slums to industrial Shinra facilities. That said, the level design itself is serviceable but simplistic. The combat is always a blast, and that keeps momentum high, but there's not much else to think about beyond some simple puzzles and lightly hidden items. That makes the areas you're asked to retread for side quests a repetitive drag. Generally speaking though, I love that this brief section of a much larger RPG has been fleshed out with real character development and a more robust story.
Okay, I get it. Mind letting me breathe?
Depends.
I loved learning more about Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, and seeing lively neighborhoods full of people. One excellent new mission has you wrestling with the decision to turn off the giant sun lamps that provide light to Midgar's slums to progress, giving more direct weight to your group's actions. What I didn't love, however, was when this remake clearly decided it just needed more stuff to pad out its length, regardless of quality. The dullest of these by far are when Cloud is asked to do odd jobs around Midgar's slums. Suddenly, you're faced with bottom-of-the-barrel JRPG tropes that belittle the high-stakes events around them. A shopkeeper literally asks you to kill some rats. Then there's a little girl who can't find her kitty cats. Seriously?
They said that a scary man was chasing them.
Oh, yeah, she
There are
cute.
plenty more, and sure you could skip these side quests, but that'll mean you miss out on extremely valuable items and unlocks, and can even influence later scenes in subtle ways.
What exactly is it you're trying to say, Merc?
Nothing
You need
funny.
people who can follow orders, too.
This pointless filler isn't always reserved to
Mouse
just
is
side
funny.
quests either. A handful of the new main missions similarly push you through events that feel totally irrelevant. They can be amusing diversions, but if you could somehow skip a few of them entirely, you probably wouldn't even notice.
To infinity and beyond.
Square Enix has generally done a great job of making this originally brief Midgar section feel like a bigger story, and showing things like Cloud's cold, Merc heart warm over time gives vital character development to a part that didn't have much in 1997. But it also raises tons of unanswered questions. Some of those are clear nods for longtime fans that will be incomprehensible to anyone else. But a lot of the totally new stuff is convoluted and confusing regardless. The way its characters wantonly spout new nonsense it just expects you to roll with towards the end of the story can only be described as some Kingdom Hearts BS. And I say that as a Kingdom Hearts fan. Ultimately, I would have liked a more satisfying conclusion to this story, and a better jumping off point for its eventual sequel. Thankfully, reaching the credits does unlock a hard mode and a chapter select, allowing you to easily return to any area with your current equipment. Filler or not, I do plan on diving back in to tie up some loose ends, or just throw some darts.
Definitely anime style.
Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat is top-notch, and its enemy variety kept me constantly entertained. Seeing this snippet of a story fleshed out with the previously hidden humanity behind Midgar filled me with pure joy. The dull RPG filler and convoluted new plot points that accompany that did stop my ear-to-ear grin from being constant, but never long enough to kill the mood completely. This remake still delivered on letting me relive part of a classic in stupendous fashion, while also standing as a great RPG all its own. Be sure to head over to IGN.com and read our full written review of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Also be sure to check out some of the new cutscenes compared to the original, or watch the first 15 minutes of gameplay. And for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.
Can you believe it? The Genuine Saw is coming!
So, IGN rates it at 8 out of 10. That's good enough for me. I already think it's going to be good. I just want to make sure I get used to it fast. You know how with new games, you have that moment, you have those moments of not really seeing what's going on, seeing everything that's going on the screen. But once you start to truly understand the game, it's seamless. You just, yeah. That's the only thing I hate about always picking up a new game. So it has nothing to do with it being Final Fantasy VII. Although, if it played like exactly like the old one, it'd be a whole lot easier to jump into. But, yeah, mine's already bought and pre-ordered. So, as soon as it downloads, be on my channel. Thank you for the review, IGN. Make sure you get over there and subscribe to IGN. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you. And if you enjoyed my reaction to their review, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. 10 million subscribers. Woo!